So you want to catch more fish in brush piles this summer? Today in this video, we're going to go over 5 baits that are going to help you catch more fish in brush piles this summer. Alright, what's up guys? So if you click this video, you're probably here to learn how to catch more fish in brush piles this summer, or learn how to catch more fish in brush piles anyways. So today we're going to go over 5 ways to help you catch more fish in brush this summer. But first, I'm going to start off with a jig. You know, jig's a staple bait to throw in brush piles in the summertime. A lot of fish caught on this bait in the summer, and a lot of big fish. You know, I like to go natural in the summertime with my jigs. You know, something that's probably going to resemble bluegill is what I generally go with. A lot of people throw crawfish colors, just personal preference. I'm going to go with something that's more bluegill. Maybe could even be a mix of both. This is a homemade jig right here, hand tied. You know, this is going to be a green pumpkin and orange. I got a rage tail on it. I forgot the exact product name. But, you know, something that has a lot of action to stir up these fish in the brush piles. I'm looking for a reaction bait when I'm throwing this. And then once I pull it out, I can also stroke this bait away from it if, you know, the fish are following the bait out, and I'll get a few extra bites going that way. But overall, this is an awesome bait to fish in brush piles in the summertime. Second, I'm going to go over to a drop shot. Now, this could be, you know, a small drop shot like I have tied on here. You know, 3/8 ounce weight, 6-inch worm, just a regular old Jean LaRue tattletale 6-inch worm. I also like to throw 8, 10, 12-inch worms on a drop shot as well in brush piles. But this bait is going to catch you a lot more numbers, and you will catch a random big fish on, you know, on a drop shot in brush piles. But generally, this is going to be where you catch more fish, or if you're fishing a body of water that has a lot bigger population of small fish, you know, not as many big ones, this is going to be a good way for you to catch a lot of numbers, especially if you're out on the lake just for fun, you know, enjoying your Saturday off work like most people are. This is going to be a bait that you want to throw in that scenario. Third is going to be one of my favorite baits to throw in brush piles. This is one that's going to catch you some big fish if you can get it figured out on the right day and time. And you know, this is a 6XD. Also throw a 5XD, 8XD, 10XD, but this 6 normally fits really well for the depth range that I want to be fishing in. So this is going to be in that 13 to 18 foot range. I can usually get this bait down to brush piles, and this is purely a reaction strike. I'm throwing way past the brush pile, grinding it down to it, and just grinding this bait through the brush piles hard and fast. This is going to get big fish to react, especially when there's several fish in a pile and you're having trouble getting, you know, one big one out of it. This bait's going to pull that big fish out of it a lot of the time. And, you know, a little change up from what most people would do, I'm throwing this on braid. This is 65-pound braid because I've been throwing in timber today, but I'll also throw it on 30. That'll help me get it down a little deeper compared to the 65-pound braid. The 35 just lets me get a little more depth. But when I hook I can pull this bait through brush piles a lot better with braid because there's no stretch. It bounces through a lot better compared to fluorocarbon or monofilament. And when I hook these fish on this, I'm not playing them. These fish are getting grinded straight to the boat. I got a big rod to throw on these brush piles, heavy rod. I think this one's a 7-foot medium heavy. Normally I would throw like a 7.6 medium heavy, something that's got enough backbone but still a little bit limber for when they bite it, they can get a good hook in them. But this bait is awesome to catch big fish on in the summertime in brush piles. You know, you should really give it a try if you can figure it out. It is an expensive one because you are going to lose baits, and that's another thing with the braid is you're going to lose less baits. But if you're going to spend time doing this, I do suggest get online, go to Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro, whatever, and order a plug knocker. I mean, I have one that cost me like $12, and it saved me that $12 30 times over in the last 2 years. It's worth it. But definitely give this big crankbait a try because you will catch big fish, and on the right day you're going to catch numbers on it too. So I highly suggest trying this. Now, the bait I probably throw the most in brush piles, just a big old, you know, this is a Zoom old monster, 10.5 inch. I got it on the EWG 5/0 Trocar on this one. 3/8 ounce weight, and then June bug color. I like something that's really bold in the summertime when I'm throwing my big worms. So I will throw, plum, June bug, even go over to black, maybe morning dawn colors, tequila sunrise, that kind of thing. But normally plum and June bug are my two favorites. And this bait is going to catch everything in the brush pile. I mean, you'll pull up, you can catch 8-pounders and 10 inches out of the same brush pile. This bait catches everything. I mean, most people, overestimate this bait. It's 10 inches, pretty big bait to a lot of people if you don't throw it. But this fish, I've caught 8-inch fish on this specific bait before. So you'll catch them all, but this bait is a big fish killer. If you're not throwing a big worm in brush piles in the summertime, you have no clue what you're missing out on, because this bait really produces some big fish, and you just got to tie one on and see for yourself. Put on a big weight and get down there and work through those brush piles. I promise you're going to catch some big fish on it if they're there. Now, if you're fishing it wrong, I can't promise you're going to catch fish on it, but once you learn how to fish this bait, it's going to put some big fish in the boat for you. Lastly, it's kind of a little bit of a curveball, something probably most people don't throw in brush piles. This is a Jinko, what is it? It's a trimmer shad is what it is. Very similar to a scrounger. Most people, that's where it originated, was a scrounger, and then Jinko made this bait, big Tennessee river bait, but 7 inches long, 3/4 ounce head. Most people are out throwing it on ledges. You'll see, on TV and FLW, Bassmaster, all that. Well, this bait I use around brush piles. It's got a very specific time and place in the year, but when you get around brush piles and they're getting beat up really hard, these fish will lift up out of the brush piles. They will suspend over them or near them, and you can't catch them because they're not in the brush piles. You pick up a big worm, jig, they won't bite because they're not there. You're fishing for fish that are suspended near where they normally are, so you're not going to get them to bite. So I'll get this bait, fire it past the brush piles I'm normally fishing, and rip it up off the bottom, and then bring this bait 5 to 10 foot over the brush piles, depending on where I'm seeing fish suspended. One day you may go out there and they'll be 2 foot above them, and next day you'll go out there 10 foot above them, and it really depends on your body of water and how deep the lake is. Because if you're fishing 40-foot brush piles and 20 foot of visibility, these fish are going to come up a lot higher above them, or would, in comparison to fishing brush piles in 15 foot of water on a shallow fishery. But this bait is one you will not catch many fish on normally. I've not went out and just had a day of catching tons of numbers on this fish, but I've also not caught a lot of fish under 3 pounds on this bait. I mean, this is a big fish bait. Not a huge profile. It is 7 inches, but it really doesn't look that big because of the shape, because a lot of the length is in that thin tail. This bait's going to roll in the water, and I don't know what it is about it, but it just draws some ferocious strikes out of fish that I haven't been able to catch before I started throwing this bait. But definitely a killer in the summertime. That's 5 baits that you can use this summer to catch more fish out of brush piles and big fish. So I hope this video helps you guys. If you want, drop a comment. I'll go through each one of these baits and break down how I throw these baits in brush piles. Go in depth on each one, how I fish them, and how I get fish to react on them. But if you guys like the video, drop a comment below. Maybe go check out some of my other videos, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little notification bell so you make sure and get my videos after you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.